I haven't done a preparedness video, so I wanted to do a little touch on preparedness. So people say, oh, you're a prepper, this, that, doomsday prepper. I'm not a doomsday prepper for sure. But I do believe that if you weren't tracking on 2020, when the stores ran out of stuff, when people panicked, well, that's just like a small thing. Well, it's not a small thing. That's just for everybody to get a little glance at it, because if you're in a tornado area or a hurricane area, or an earthquake area, like all these natural disaster stuff, tsunami area, like things happen, and it's good to have supplies and resources for those things, for me. And I kind of had a little bit of that from going to Boy Scouts when I was a kid, be prepared. And I don't know if I was just a little paranoid, but I always kind of rat-holed a little bit of here and there's and radios and things like that. But if you look in the Bible, man, prepping's kind of a biblical principle, because Joseph, when he was in Egypt, stored up during the 7 years of fat for the 7 years of lean, and everybody made it through pretty good. And so for me, well, so for one, water is, you only go a couple days without water. You can go a long time without food, but you only go a couple days without water. Like I think it's 3 days, and then you're going to start having some issues and probably die. But you can get 3 weeks maybe without eating before you die. I mean, you're not going to be having fun or having a bunch of energy, but so water is really important. So like water filtration, whether you've got like a Berkey, or you've got like a Sawyer Mini, I highly recommend not the Life Straw, but if that's all you can get, I mean, get it. So a way to filter water in an emergency, and an emergency plan, we'll get into that in another video, emergency plans, but like prepared stuff, like a radio that's got a weather station on it, or local fire department or PD stations or sheriff's department. Like try to figure out some of that stuff. Or even if you just get a ham radio and you don't have a license, if you stay off the ham channels, unless you have an emergency, and then jump on a ham channel and be like, hey, I have an emergency, I don't know what to do, but I got this radio, can somebody get us help? A way to have communications with outside people outside of your area or wherever you're at is huge, man. You can't get help if you have no way to ask. And a lot of times in tornadoes or hurricanes, like cell towers get wiped out, and so you got to have a way to talk. So buckets of food in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, dried grains. You got like rice, beans, corn, wheat. I like oatmeal, like rolled oats. There's a lot of different things that I like for preparing for, like, if the grocery stores get flooded. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, the eclipse is coming, and the eclipse is it's drawing a bunch of people for this 2024 eclipse. It's drawing a bunch of people to areas where the eclipse is going to be. Well, a lot of those areas are like rural areas. They're small towns, and they can't handle the influx of the amount of people that's coming. So if you've got an influx of people coming into your area and you don't know what that looks like, it's gonna look a lot like 2020 no toilet paper, because it's super easy for a small area that's used to having this much food for the community that's surrounding it, and that's kind of what they get, and you still see empty shelves even with just the community, and then you quadruple or 10 times that amount for people that are coming in for an event like this eclipse. And well, what happens to the gas stations, and what happens to the food on the shelves? What happens to the water supplies in the area? If there's a ton of people camping, I mean, what happens to the water supplies? There's a stress on everything. The power grid in this area, everything gets stressed. And so my plan for those type of times is get all the food I'm going to need for at least 2 weeks, because I got a minimum for my pantry is a minimum of 2 weeks for just like my regular eating stuff. I technically have a 6-month pantry. I could live out of it for 6 months, but 2 weeks, you know, for an event, I'd make sure I got 2 weeks worth of food. Of stuff that I would go to the grocery store, you know, weekly or bi-weekly, I would have 2 weeks at least. If you're off grid and you're out in the woods, you know, do your normal month shop and you'll be good to go. But for me, I know that we may run low on fuel, or there may be huge lines to even get fuel because so many new people are in the area. And then what else? Yeah, food. Get your food way before this thing. Don't wait till the day before the event. You know, go a week ahead of time, or, you know, a few days ahead of time before people start pouring into the area. Get some fuel stashed back for your generator, for your cars, just in case you've got to go somewhere and the gas stations locally are empty, you know, so that you got it if you need it. And so preparedness is like a mindset of, hey, I don't want to be in a position where me and my family don't have anyhow. So I'll do another video on preparedness and preparedness plans and what that looks like. Thanks, guys.